Violence in KwaZulu-Natal is also briefing the media following this morning's meeting, and of course Police Minister Bheki Cele is there. Let's listen into what they say.
We just went short to remove the headquarters of security from Pretoria to Durban. I'm sure you're aware of where the meeting comes from. It comes from the instruction given by the President when he was here, I think it was last Thursday? Monday. Was here, he gave the instruction that the ministers of security will have to come in KZN and deal with the matters, especially the political related matters. He was talking that visiting the house of Mkhunu, who was gunned down in Maritzburg, buried last Saturday in Maritzburg. Surely the President took a toll on that when about 4 politicians in the province have been killed in 4 weeks, starting with Nombuso Mkati, going to Sifiso Cele, coming to Macingwane, Kashana, and coming to Dlamini in Ulundi. So surely it has been taking a toll to the President for him to specifically visit the province, and instructed all these ministers you see here to work on the matter and give the report back to him. We will be giving him a preliminary report that we're not going to give here until we give the preliminary report to him. We're not going to report it through the media that there comes your media, Mr. President. So no, but we will be really sharing going forward. As I've said, that ministers will answer the questions that you will make sure that you throw to us. The question that one will go up front about is, before the ministers answer your questions, you will know that in this province we have been minus the provincial commissioner for some time. At almost plus or minus 2 years, and then maybe it's unfair when people they act far too long, and then is one area that we have definitely made the change. The commissioner has involved the premier. As you know, that constitutionally the commissioner and the premier or the province, when there are changes in provincial commissioner, they must engage. They have engaged. They have engaged with the acting Commissioner General Langa, and we have all agreed that we'll be having with General Lakim Kwanazi as an new acting provincial commissioner of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Most of you will know him as a head of the special task force and as a person that acted after I was fired, and they acted as a national commissioner of the South African police. So it's him that will be running the province together with the national commission and all other commissioners that are here. On other matters that we have discussed, I will allow the ministers really to say something on that particular thing. Minister?
No, we'll take questions.
We'll take questions, okay. We are right.
Thank you, Minister. Please, can I ask you, when you posing your questions, to just give your name and the media house you represent, and also can we just confine the questions to the purpose of the minister's visit to KZN?
Patty Sampuya from Afro Worldview. I just want to ask Macingwane, we know that we have the Moirani Commission here in KwaZulu-Natal. Have you gotten a report from Babu Moirani, and also what did the province get out of that Moirani Commission? As you know that we did sit for quite some while. So that's all I wanted to ask.
Bernadette, East Pretoria. Minister, just on what you were just discussing now about the provincial commissioner, so, just for clarity, so is General Mkhwanazi going to come in as in an acting capacity? Then, or is there going to be a change in terms of the acting commissioner this time, or do we have any clarity on sort of what might be happening with the provincial commissioner in a permanent capacity?
Okay, one more and then we'll take another.
I am from the SABC. Minister, mine is just looking back on the political killings that have taken place in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. You mentioned the 4 now, but there's been many before, dating way back. And some, yes, the police have made some headway in terms of those investigations, but many others remain unsolved. One would understand maybe you did look into that, and what are the challenges? Why aren't these cases being solved? Did the police maybe in their reports speak to you on what are the challenges that they might be encountering in getting to the bottom of these political killings? And then also maybe to the Premier, who also in his capacity also with them with the ANC, you were also Premier we're looking into the political killings. The political parties also said that they would assist in helping the police with information or whatever that they could do to assist the investigations. What is the reports that you've been getting, possibly to you, Premier, from the respective political parties, more importantly to your party, the ANC? Are they helping? Has there been any headway in that regard? Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
The specific question to the Premier, there's a general one from, I understand that the ministers will respond. There is a specific one of General Mkhwanazi. You remember that there is still a suspended provincial commissioner of this General Ngobeni. Until that matter is finalized, it can't be legal to employ anybody else. That's why he comes at the capacity of acting. Thanks.
In respect of the Moerane Commission, I did report together with the MEC to the ministerial delegation that we are still awaiting that report. You will remember that I've reported in the legislature that there was a request for extension, and that request has been given to the end of May. We had an understanding that no further extensions will be required because this last one is mainly just for them to wrap up their report, finalize their report, and therefore there shouldn't be any further extensions at all. At this point in time, therefore, it would be premature to say what have we got from that report. We will talk about it as soon as we have got it done. The ministerial task team will also have access to it as soon as it becomes available. And through them, the president, because he has asked for it, he wants to know what that was, how did that fare. So that is the first issue. On the issue of the other parties, you will remember that we have just been saying we have in mind a project Letuktula, in which we are expecting that everybody, not just political parties, but everybody could report on every one of the matters, not just political killings, including everything that causes instability to our province. That had support from all political parties, but we have a process. We had to wait until the budget speech, and I did report at the budget speech that we are now ready to talk to the government nationally, so where we are going to then find cooperation and run the process forward. But before that, it's just an idea that has been put in place for which the mechanism has been provided.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No, the other question from the minister is about, she has about 4, what about the rest?
She has about 4 killings. Okay, well, I think we should start by saying we've interacted here with the multidisciplinary team, which was established in 2016. But we learned that before then, there were other teams which had been established to deal with this issue of killings, politically motivated killings. We are now in 2018, so we were interacting with a team which has been there for 2 years. it became clear to us as we were interacting with them that there have been enormous challenges they've been confronted with, and hence the inability to conclude investigations of some of the cases timeously. That is the main problem. But as the minister said earlier on, it's very clear too that most of these killings are indeed politically motivated, and they may as well be intra-party. However, you can only make that kind of statement when the investigation has been concluded. It's clear that there are challenges which the team has, and at times the witnesses themselves are reluctant to come forward, or in some instances where witnesses have come forward, they then change their statements later, or they are intimidated into withdrawing those statements. So I think that when you look at, as the media, it's important for you as well to understand that if you've counted, for instance, let's say this year, up to 7-8 cases, right, that you should not expect that by September all of those cases shall have been concluded, because you must find real evidence, you must find witnesses, your witnesses must be credible so that the prosecuting authority can rely on that information. But I think that we should look at the spirit, the political will which was demonstrated when the team was put together. And the good thing is that the team itself consists of a whole range of stakeholders from the security cluster. So we hope that with this initial interaction and the report which shall be submitted to the Commander-in-Chief, that we can come back and have more interaction with the team, go into deeper detail about the nature of the challenges, so that then the Minister of Police can resolve those challenges. Thanks.
Yes, our preliminary observations in relation to the task team formed in 2011 and the recent one in 2017, it shows we are very much concerned about the coordination from the various clusters, the various components of the team itself, the SSA, the prosecution, the Hawks, and the justice. And so those observations, they made us to understand why the delays in terms of arrests, in terms of prosecutions, in terms of containing witnesses, so that they don't disappear or they don't become intimidated. So holistically, there are these challenges which are very serious, and as the Minister Police indicated, we are tempted to talk, but we are restricted because we must report to the boss first, otherwise we'll be fired. So in a nutshell, these are just highlights of what we will be dealing with in this province.
I think colleagues before me have so aptly captured the essence of some of the pivotal observations made. I think we, as a team, we should start by acknowledging and appreciating the President's, in his wisdom's decision to pull us together in the manner that he did into a team that could look at these things collectively, because it has become abundantly clear that this is a situation where you cannot work in silos and hope to achieve maximum outcomes. It's a relay process where the one agency deals with an aspect and leaves it to the other, hoping that the other would pick on where they left and effectively, deal with the matter to its natural conclusion. And in the process, there's also a lot of collaboration that happens. For example, you have the concept of prosecutor-guided investigations as part of the dispensation we've created to say prosecution does not initiate investigation, does not conduct investigation, does not lead investigation, but guides investigation, so that it gives support to investigation in a manner that maximizes the prospect of matters being trial ready when the docket is submitted for prosecutorial decision and subsequent prosecution. We've identified that there's a need for further strengthening in that entire value chain. We have made specific suggestions about improvements that could be effected at all those stages of case flow. And of course that would also help reduce incidents of shifting of blame, whether one would say, well, we've done our bit, it's the other side that is dropped the ball, only to find that the other side also has a good case to say, we didn't drop the ball just didn't arrive. That type of a situation. So we believe that the interaction that we've had with the agencies should already point to areas of improvement. Obviously, it cannot be a once-off engagement. We will have to be seized with this matter until significant progress is realized. And we've committed ourselves to that end until such time as our boss is satisfied with our effort. Maybe I'll pause there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, with your permission, I think I'm just going to allow for one last round of questions, just 3 questions. So it's 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, Jason.
Jason Thath here from ENCA. Just a question for the Police Minister. I understand that you don't want to reveal too much about the operational side of things, or just yet. It's a bit early. But just at a practical level, I'm trying to understand something. If one of the problems or one of the challenges thus far has been the issue of witness statements, which, and I'm not a policeman obviously, but which for me I understand to be a core part of the investigation. How then does something like that change? Because that's not necessarily something that's within your control. How then is that kind of challenge addressed, because it relies on the masses? Which then leads me to the question, how much can change in terms of the arrests and the success of investigations when it comes to political killing if you're still battling with that very crucial element? And maybe you can share with me what you can in terms of addressing that.
Okay. What's the second one? You were your second.
Okay. My name is Bongani Hans from the Independent Media. I mean, I understand that you've got challenges when it comes to solving the cases that have already been committed, crimes that have already been committed. But what is bothering me, like if you have such challenges, do you have a plan to deal with the future incident, future killings that might happen? I mean, we have an upcoming ANC conference which might have been the cause of these killings. What plan do you have to deal to prevent the killings before they happen? I mean, is intelligence functioning? Where is it?
Yeah. My name's Jonathan Erasmus. I'm from Newsweek magazine, and I was just looking to get some kind of clarification. There's obviously a high-level panel here. What is everyone's role in this? And these are very different ministries or with different mandates completely. I mean, the military is obviously borders protection, defense, state security. I think everyone's still trying to work out what state security exactly does. And of course, police, looking after the civilians of this country. But where do you all fit in, man? Who's taking the lead? So what are you all actually contributing to this? And I prefer each minister to please answer that. Just give us an idea of what your role is.
Thank you, Minister.
Well, it's not up to you that every minister answers. Starting there, the Minister of Defense used a very good expression. It's a multidisciplinary team that we met here. By the way, she's a chair of this committee. We co-chair the committee, so she should be here when the president instructs when the president instructs this committee. The chair will be forever there. But the question you're asking, I think, is answered on that there is police here, there is justice, there was NPA, state security, commissioner of police, crime intelligence was here. I've mentioned state security, the corrections will be invited on the next meeting. But almost everybody that makes a case is here. I must say, as we are sitting here, we detected that the committee that is supposed to be task team and very much working together, there are gaps on that. That is, now and again they'll revisit their silos instead of working together. So as such, is one thing that when the Minister of Justice talks about strengthening some areas, that will be the area. Surely, what we'll do to strengthen the areas will be communicated to the nation, to the people out there, in a not very distant future, dealing with those matters. But for now, we want to, and for instance, there is a prosecutor that works with the team who need to guide them. By the time you go for prosecution, everything is tied up and everything is clear that you will be going through. So those are the matters that will be working towards in order to make sure that our team is strong and solid as we wish it to be. Maybe at my portion of there is a security cluster that must tell you that you don't work alone. For the fact that police arrest with information, as it has been asked, you arrest with information that is provided by the relevant structure to provide that. The structure prosecutes, the structure takes you to prison until you come on the other side. We hope we are a better person by the time you come on the other side, having gone through the system. So that's why we are all here. I have explained the minister. The security, the intelligence, yes. Everybody knows, especially you media, that we had a problem that has been tracking for some time, where almost 6 years, there was no head of intelligence, which has given some problem in terms of operation of intelligence. The new head of intelligence, General Jacobs, has been appointed. We'll be working with all other structures to fit the structure. We hope we'll be better we'll be better in understanding before these things happen. Are these things happening because it's going to be conference here? No. The problems of KZN started some time back, but the period that we are working on March now will be 2011 to now, and we don't have conferences every year, so it will be a little bit not true that it can escalate, but we are aware, and those things will be also reported to the political leadership is here, because if you say it's a political problem, there will have to be political, but it doesn't mean that we should not arrest. We do want to deal with this culture of impunity in this province, that it comes to an end. You do the thing, you do the time.
May I just remind you that KZN is a province which is next to the borderline. We are on the borders with Mozambique. And I'm sure you are aware of the media that this area has kept the police for some time very busy. In fact, it has kept the entire cluster, and both national and provincial, very, very busy, particularly in the past year. One, all operations are intelligence driven. So you can't even ask the reason why the Minister of State Security is here, because state security works closely with crime intelligence to help the police to provide more information so that they can better drive their operations. But now, with regards to the borderline, you'll recall that on the borderline, we have a mandate of the Defence Force of securing the sovereignty of the Republic and the territorial integrity of the Republic of South Africa. So we have soldiers who are based on the borderline. And of course, the first people who will indicate to us when there are challenges there, it is the province. If you talk to the MEC or even to the Premier, they will tell you about the many, many efforts they've made to try and deal with some of the challenges which we have on the borderline. There's a lot of criminality which has been happening in the Mhlabia-Lingana area, for instance, where people were coming into the country, hijack cars or rob people in their houses of the keys and cars and drive those cars across the borderline into Mozambique. And those are some of the issues we are dealing with Mozambique as a neighboring country and many other areas which are on the countries which are on the borderline. So then when you say then what becomes the role of the Defence Force, obviously the Defence Force is the last line of defence. Being the last line of defence, if tomorrow things were to get really bad, obviously Minister Cele and team, after doing an analysis, may want to draw in the Defence Force, even though we do not encourage deployment of the South African National Defence Force internally. So you ask, why are we part of the cluster? It is precisely because of that. If you have a challenge, if you have an operation like similar to Operation Fiela, for instance, which we've had both here and in KZN and Gauteng, you then draw on the Defence Force to come in and provide support, by the way, not lead, but provide support to the police. And therefore, even in terms of that deployment, if you observed last time, the police would go in, conduct raids, and then on the outer line, you would have, outer perimeter, you'd have the Defence Force. So that is the reason. And of course, you can't ask about the Minister of Justice. That's where the NPA resides, finally. That's where the NPA resides, which is responsible for prosecutions. So I just thought maybe, and I know you do understand this, but sometimes when you see us, you tend to even forget, because you want to hear what we have to say about it.
No, that's incorrect. I mean, I understand what the Ministry of Justice does.
Okay.
That I understand.
Okay.
It's the other parts of the security cluster that I think.
Have you understood now why the defense is here?
Yes, fully.
Have you understood now why state security is here?
Well, I think there's overlap there with crime intelligence, surely.
There's no overlap. There's absolutely no overlap at all. Now, today, you must go back and read the Intelligence Services Act and see what the role of state security in a country is. Yeah.
Thanks, Minister.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Minister. I think we've covered basically everything, Minister.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Wow. We'll see you next time.
All right, that was the live media.